Kubiak has been a very good offensive coordinator, but he's not Kevin O'Connell. For me, you need to do maybe the hardest job in football, which is to keep a miracle last year going in different circumstances. It's going to be an uphill battle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Seattle Seahawks in tonight's video. Preseason is right around the corner. We got training camp here, and the Seahawks are one of those teams that, honestly, to keep it a buck with you, it was like the third NFL video I'd ever made a few years ago, and it did really well. And so ever since then, I've had a really nice affiliation to the Seattle Seahawks football team. And it's funny, I'm a Packers fan, and I feel like you guys broke my heart my entire childhood with Aaron Rodgers, but the Sam Darnold move was something that is so fascinating because you go back to like week 15, week 16 of last year's regular season, and it was undoubtedly the best free agent in the entire class that was about to hit the open market. And it was kind of becoming a thing, like, are the Minnesota Vikings about to re-sign Sam Darnold because they just won 14 games? They were supposed to win around 6.5, and they won 14 games and made the playoffs. And their interior offensive line failed them, to be honest with you, in the second half of the season, but it was really evident in that wild card loss in the playoffs for many. And so when Sam Darnold officially got signed from to the Seattle Seahawks, it was like almost underwhelming, just considering where things were a few months ago. And Darnold's a really fascinating prospect, and the Minnesota Vikings were one of those teams kind of similar to the Seattle Seahawks when I make these videos, where it's like, I feel like this team doesn't get the proper notice. And so 1 year ago, I was making so many Vikings videos, and I was very big on Sam Darnold. I was very big on, even still am on JJ McCarthy. I know this isn't a Vikings video, but my point is, it's crazy how the Seattle Seahawks are consistently disrespected. Now, I will keep it a buck with you. I made a video a few days ago, and I was picking all the playoff teams, and you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but I will keep it a buck with you because we always do on this channel. I made a prediction that San Francisco is going to clear Seattle, and I said it so many times. I know this is a mistake. I know this is a regret, but I've picked the Seahawks to win the NFC West for like 3 straight years now. And maybe, just maybe, if I say that not this season, maybe it's finally going to happen, because it's hard to look at this team and not get excited. And I know my Seahawks fans watching these videos, I know how excited you guys are. And just as a Packers fan, I think it's rightfully so. So we're just riffing off the dome in tonight's video, just kind of getting back to the basics, because, preseason's really close, and I kind of want to get some finalized takes on these teams. So hit that like button, hit that sub button if you guys haven't already. Trying to get to 250 likes on tonight's video would mean the absolute world to me, but let's talk a little bit about it. Darnold was, I believe, like the 13th ranked quarterback last season for per PFF, and playing with Minnesota. And you guys know, or maybe you don't know, my thoughts on Seattle last season. The roster is there, right? The roster is 100,000% there, and I know DK Metcalf got traded, but I don't think people other than Seahawks fans really appreciate how good JSN already is, and honestly, especially is about to be. Your first round draft pick, Gray Zabel, I made a lot of videos before the NFL draft saying, I think that would fix the Seahawks offensive line, interior offensive line concerns. As long as this group can just stay healthy, I really think it's a nice and underrated offensive line. But Darnold's one of those guys where, honestly, I don't know if he ever will get the respect. It's almost like a Baker Mayfield type of career where Sam threw like 35 touchdown passes last season, and people always bring up, well, he has KOC, he has JJ, he's got Jordan Addison, and all that fun stuff. And I don't really think it's much different to what Seattle has this season. And my whole philosophy on the Seahawks' lack of playoffs last year kind of revolved around the offensive coaching staff. And so I was a very big fan when Mike Macdonald decided to hire Clint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator, because I think that is the guy in charge. I've said this like so many times, so I'll keep it brief, but Ryan Grubb, Mike Macdonald was like the 8th coach hired in that cycle. It was very late, and he went with familiarity for his offensive coordinator, a guy who had not done it at the pro level as far as offensive coordinators go, and it just didn't work out. It didn't pan out. But I'm like, Kenneth Walker, Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Damian Martinez. Now I'm really intrigued by your tight end room. A.J. Barner had a sneaky. It wasn't a statistical season for A.J. Barner last year. It was more of if you know, you know. If you watched, and you know what I'm saying. And then they go out there and they get Elijah Arroyo. And I loved that draft pick. And we've already said, our piece about JSN, who I've said time and time again, and I'll say it one more time. There's no reason in my mind why JSN is not going to be a clear top 10 wide receiver in the National Football League this upcoming season. They also picked up, obviously, Cooper Kupp from the Los Angeles Rams, kind of a gadget guy, a perfect slot guy for this team. MVS, once again, another former Packer. He is fast, and he is a big-time deep vertical threat, so I like that, especially for JSN and Cooper Kupp work in the middle of the football field. Jake Bobo, unless you're a Seahawks fan, you probably don't know who Jake Bobo is. Torrey Horton, Ricky White, loved those 2 draft picks as well. I think Charles Cross at left tackle is good. I'm still big on Olu at center. I think that was always going to be a little bit of a project/patience piece. Abraham Lucas, don't even need to say anything. Christian Haynes had a nice little rookie season last year. And Gray Zabel is truly, this I guess will be a hot take. He can play anywhere on the offensive line. I don't think it's going to be a long time until Gray Zabel is one of the more appreciated and valued offensive linemen in the National Football League. And then, finally, Clint Kubiak. Like I said, I loved that pick for offensive coordinator. It's funny because defensively, I almost feel like I don't need to say anything, and you could just go through this depth chart and be like, yep, there you go. This was one of, if not the best defense in the NFL in the second half when they finally got healthy and Mike McDonald in his rookie campaign coaching the Seahawks got into business. I mean, you got Leonard Williams, who is so good still. He's still young. I feel like the thought process is Leonard Williams is like 36 years old. Byron Murphy, Jerron Reed. Now you have DeMarcus Lawrence. Tyrese Knight, underappreciated to the rest of the NFL world because they didn't watch his rookie season. Ernest Jones got traded to you guys, towards the trade deadline last season, and especially in run defense, was one of the best in the business. In Nwosu, I know there's some injuries there, but like Josh Jobe, Julian Love, Kobe Bryant, Reek Woolen, Devon Witherspoon, what a hard hitter. I absolutely love that guy. You got Griffin. You got Nick Manwardy, who, if you don't know, I'm actually more of a diehard Notre Dame football fan because I was born and raised in the Chicagoland area. My dad's a big Notre Dame fan, but he also went to South Carolina, and a lot of my family members went to USC, or South Carolina, University of South Carolina. And Manwardy, I watched every South Carolina game last season. The guy's a beast. If you watched it, Manwardy, Demetrius Knight, those 2 guys are going to be studs at the pro level. So I know the Seahawks will be good. And maybe if I don't make a set prediction, maybe that will help you guys actually win the NFC West because it's just a matter of time. It really is. So, folks, that's it for tonight's riff. Let me know if you prefer these kind of riff videos as opposed to having more like slated talking points. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Give me a loose win-loss record for this Seahawks team down below if you had to do it. Let me know, and we'll see you soon. Peace.